Hey everybody, I just wanted to do a quick update. I feel like I haven't done one in a while. I haven't even watched the last video to see where I left off. So I've made it to the point of trying to figure out, and we're gonna Harbor Freight the whole air ride system. This is it's all Harbor Freight junk. That's how we're gonna do it. With a bleed valve, each one's gonna have let's see, each one's gonna have its own like purge valve and pressure gauge. I ended up getting this whole load, pretty much the chassis, I mean the frame of the thing is pretty much all together, and there's a couple of spots on it that needs to be re-welded and done on the bottom, but I got all the top of it done. I ended up, this is where my fuel cell's gonna go. It's gonna probably, you know, sit down in a basket in here somewhere, and then I'll have some weight, probably like a 1-inch plate or something, just to put like 500 pounds back here or whatever, just for some traction. I don't know. And then I'll have 1 or 2 or 3 different tanks just for looks, for the air ride with the pump and stuff like that. I have done a lot. I actually have done a lot since the last time I've done a video, I believe. I've moved it like 3 different times since then. I've moved it back, I'm pretty sure, yeah, 3 times up. Let's see. So I pretty much lost the intake that I had, the 3-flap, whatever. But I got the motor back quite a bit. I didn't like where it was sitting. Right, I mean, it's definitely, you know, behind, I wouldn't say behind the rear suspension, but about as back as it's gonna go. And if I go back any further, it's gonna fucking sit right next to me. That's kind of where I'm at. So let's see, still got the alternator and everything to hook up. I fucked up, got really ambitious, and now I gotta tap the crank. Just, you know, not everybody's perfect, and I'm fine with, again, making faults. So if you can't just, you know, share the good stuff, you gotta share the mistakes too. So what I did was I got this all timed up, verified, I pulled all this off. I was trying to identify the camshaft. I wanted to verify cam end shaft play and stuff like that. I just needed to open it up so I could seal it up, fill it with oil. I still, unfortunately, don't know identification of the cam. I know I don't know anything about it, honestly. I don't know if it's stock, but I can't assume that it is. This motor was built for a mud truck. It's got new pistons. The rods are definitely going to be changed. Everything's brand new. All the bearings, all the seals. This is a fresh reman. Again, you know, factory heads and just an arrow block intake. I don't expect much out of this setup right here until I put some heads and some real cams and valves in the thing. But I got throttle hooked up, its return, and, you know, all that stuff, all the fun stuff. I still got to hook up the trans kick down. We definitely got room for, you know, trans dipstick, oil tube. And again, there's a lot of fucking room in this car. I'm really surprised that I had this much room to play with. Don't get me wrong, I cut a lot out of that firewall, and there's some re-strengthening that I gotta do, but even when this motor was up here, still plenty of fucking room. First I had it hanging from the frame rails, and I didn't like that, because obviously this, you know, I just get ambitious, and then I looked at it after I was done, and I'm like, oh man, this shell's not gonna take that torque, fuck. I gotta do something different. So I made a motor plate and hung it up here. So this was up here on a motor plate. So I said, fuck that, it's too far ahead, I don't like it, I don't want to have to cut the oil pan for the steering rack. And I said, fuck it. So I did away with the whole motor plate that I spent time on, and I made those motor mounts right straight off the rails. So now I can literally just take the whole car, and pick it up off of these rails. Everything is, like I said, again, bolted to factory bolt holes. And I think my next step is to, yes, I cut the windshield. Me and my buddy got a little crazy. I don't really care. It's all fucked up and, whatever. I can have the glass place cut it to fit it once I get a measurement for them. I'm not concerned. But my next thing is to try to lift up this shell up off of, I might, put spacers in here, in these holes, to lift the shell up off the frame a little bit so I can get my intake back in there. And I just don't like how, yes, that's where your air is coming in, but still, the seal's fucking back here. So I'll figure that out later. I'll make my own if I have to. I don't really care. Still have radiator to install. There is oil in it. So once I fix this, which is just a simple retap, I got a new bolt for it. I'm gonna turn it over by hand, get oil up top. Then we'll go to this alternator, get that belt on, come up here, put the radiator on, fill it with water. Everything is sealed, everything's tight. I did get oil in it, so I wouldn't say it's completely sealed. It's just, enough. This, I'm still having I don't know, I'm gonna have to either fabricate my own manifold, because there's really not shit for clearance. But whatever, it is what it is. And here's the steering shaft. We'll obviously come out here to, the steering rack is going to be back in here in parallel line with the spindle holes for the tie rod ends. And I'll what do they call that? I'll notch it and then put a piece of pipe in there so that I can slide this and drop it down so I don't have to cut my oil pan. It's the last thing I want to do. I really don't. I just want to get it together and be done with it, kind of. But I also am adding some air shocks. Excuse me. I'm going to build a small little square stock frame right here on this rail so that an air shock can come up and help support all this weight. Hood, I think I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go with an Evo style setup. Almost do like an Evo clone. I need fenders anyways. I gotta do rocker panel work because it's main, we rust, so I need fenders, and I obviously need a hood. So shit, I might as well go Evo, right? I'm trying to make this thing look as stock as possible. Where's the flashlight so I can try to get the inside of where we're at. That's the radiator that's going in it. Not terribly big, but definitely dual core. So it should be fine with the electric water pump. Oh, the other thing is I totally lost, the main thing is I'm trying to get a sticker on this so I can drive it daily or somewhere in there and just go fuck with people. So in Maine, the law is fucking strict and it's ridiculous. So I need to install a mono wiper up there somewhere because I lost all my windshield wiper room here, which whatever, I'm creative. I'll make it happen. I don't give a shit, This is the interior. There's quite a hole. Which is fine. I've got a big old sheet of aluminum to make a whole new tunnel. I had to remove, when I moved it back the last time, I had to remove the brake booster. So I'm just gonna go with a smaller style, but I don't know if you could see or not, but right, those 4 bolt holes back there are the actual booster, so I can still put on like a manual booster, which is fine. The other thing is for state inspection is,
your gauges need to work. When you cycle your key, everything has to work as normal as it should. So the only thing that on mine is not going to work or be legal will be the ABS braking system, which, I mean, if you want to fucking dick around and dick around, whatever, I won't sticker it. I'll bring it to the track. But there's still a lot to do, kind of, but not really. So I still gotta hook up the steering shaft, make throttle pedal. There ain't much fucking room for your foot, I guess, anymore. Sorry, I'm not even paying attention to what I'm videoing. If you can somewhat see the clearance in between the end of that bell housing and that frame rail right there. My foot usually rests right where that steering shaft is hanging, which, whatever. It's gonna be a tight bell housing, tight tunnel is all it's gonna be. I just gotta re-strengthen this cross member here because I did take out some structural integrity on the body here, and same with the firewall. But I can fix that because it actually, the body has a, I don't know if you remember or not, underneath there's a piece of round stock that is welded to that angle iron right there on the outside of that frame rail that goes over to the main unibody rail, and it's welded to that. So the unibody gets bolted to this rail by that angle bar that's welded to the body. Same thing over here. And then same bolting, all factory bolting up back. Let's see, I still got to hook up that panner bar, but it is cut to length and just ready to be welded. Air ride is good. Everything seems to be, I had to move all the air rides, brackets, and all the angles were wrong. I severely fucked up this rear end, but now she's good. And I just need to make a couple more relief cuts for some square stock that I added that is hitting the top of the body. So there's a small little gap right there on that bolting hole. So other than that, she's there almost, but not. Anyways, that's where I'm at. That's where it is. She's a rolling unit. I'm actually not that far from firing it up, to be honest with you. So my fuel pump's coming out on, should be shipping out from Summit on the 11th. And fuel cell, one of my buddies got. So as soon as my pump's here, it's go time. I'm gonna hook up the lines. Hoping to have the steering and the braking, the steering and the rear suspension done by time the fuel pump comes in, so that I could do the fuel pump cell lines and stuff like that, so that when it comes in I can just wire it up and fire it up, you know? I want to see this fucking thing rip, and I'm pretty sure you do too. Anyways, that's where we're at. She's all timed, mechanical, statically, however the fuck you want to say it. And she's there. And I do plan on keeping the stock wheels on it for now. I do understand that, you know, I ain't gonna get shit for traction, but I don't care. I just don't, you know. I do need a bigger brake setup on the front, and I still need the rear disc swap for up back. So she's not going to be moving on its own power anytime soon, but it should be running here fairly soon. So check back in, and thanks for the help, guys. Any tips or suggestions? Fuck, I'm open to them. Later.